Find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike today with my co-host, Wet Joe. Hit,
No, it's
let's
dry.
yeah, but has it really been raining that much out there?
Yeah.
Has it?
Yeah, we got some like 5 inches over 2 days.
Like you guys had, yeah, like 2 or 3 days worth of rain, like
Uh-huh.
nonstop.
Uh-huh.
Somebody said it was like the record amount of rain in 25 years that you've had out there or something.
It's pretty close. It's been wet. It's
Hmm.
been really, really wet. Yeah. It's an El Nino. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't
Get out
know.
your galoshes and a kayak, I guess.
Hmm.
What's weird, right? California, it rains rarely, but it does rain, except it's normally it's like 5 minutes and that's it. It's gone. Like you'll
Yeah,
miss it.
yeah.
And this was like we had rain for 24 hours, which is a little weird. A little
Hmm.
weird, but what are you gonna do?
So did you
So,
guys have any water issues out there? Any flooding or leaks in the
oh
house?
yeah,
Anything like that?
lots of places did.
Yeah,
We did not where I am,
yeah.
but like parts of freeways in San Diego became lakes, mudslides and whatnot. It's yeah, like the problem that we run into is because it's so dry always, the ground can't absorb that much water, and so when
Hmm.
it gets saturated, it lets go, and it's amazing what happens.
Hmm.
So 50-year-old trees topple over and that kind of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll get a lot of rain, but it's different for us here because we are constantly getting rain. So
Yep. Not a
completely
thing.
different effect here. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, glad it's done. Glad to see the sun shining on your face,
Sun,
illuminating you only in a way that it can.
bright and early. Good God.
Really get. So this is weird for us. Uh, we're KC list today.
Mm,
But we're doing this on a Monday morning, which we
mm,
usually don't do.
mm.
You just happen to be off today for some sort of school/bank holiday, which we're still really kind of uncertain as to what it really is. I don't know.
It's February. There was a president.
Google it.
You,
It's something.
you know what I know.
We're all about America around here. We really know what's
I'm
going on.
glad I don't have to go to work. That's fine.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
So do you got new watches? Do you have anything that you got in? Did you get something new? What did you get
Just
that's new?
that.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
right.
yeah.
How do you like it?
I do like it. I do like. I like
Like it?
it's very nice. This is the Merlot dial, what Jetstar A, 1973. Um,
Very
assembled
good.
from assembled from parts,
Hmm.
multiple parts,
Hmm.
with a aftermarket bracelet that works really, really well. And this is courtesy of Mike and the Jetstar Repair Clinic. Yeah, it's really
Rescue
nice.
rescue clinic.
Rescue. Okay,
Yeah.
but it's you gave it to me, so yeah. I mean, it wears really slim. The monogram bezel is great. The whole watch, the whole package is really, really good. And when you start comparing it to the reissue that my wife gave me for my birthday, it's like, yeah, they kind of nailed that. It really
Hmm.
turned out well. So
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
So that was a project that I started a while ago, and then things just happened in the way and just kind of got pushed to the side a little bit. And then you had gotten the new version of it for your birthday. So then I kind of had to be like, okay, I really need to get this done for you. Um, learned, that's the watch hobby is always teaching you something new. And even if you feel like you know it all, like I did with the Jetstars, I still learned stuff when it came to having to build that watch. Specifically, between years 72 and 73, so the 72 A's and B's and the 73 A's and B's are two very different case manufacturers, two cases. The parts do not interchange. Everything has to be specific to that year. And that was the problem I kept running into is it was assembled from parts, but I was trying to mix and match stuff, and you cannot do that with those watches. So it got to be a little frustrating to get it done, but it came out really cool. It came out really nice. I'm glad it looks good, and I had that bracelet, which I'm not a huge fan of. You seem to like that one, so
It works. It works for this watch, and it's a little more reminiscent of what the reissue is. You know, it kind of has that same sort of look to
it's
it, that sort of
yeah,
square brick thing.
yeah, yeah. It does.
I
That's
like it.
good.
I like it.
Well, good. We're in
It
good
works.
health.
I will. I will. So what do you got?
I Funny enough, Joe, I've got a Merlot. So this is we have a friend of ours who I won't mention his name because and he knows who he is. He knows, he sent me this watch. This is a watch that came up on eBay and he said, "Oh, look at this. It's I know you are into these things." I said, "Yeah." I said, At this particular point, I don't have the money to buy it right now." "Well, I'll buy it for you if you want, and I'll just hold on to it until you're ready." And he said, "Just send me the money, and then I'll send it out to you." So really, you don't have to do that, but okay, sure. So he did. He bought it, held on to it. I sent him money for shipping. Whenever you get a chance, I'm in no rush. Mail it out. I kind of forgot about it, and then went down to get the mail today, and sure enough, I had two mail boxes, two boxes in the mailbox, I should say.
There you go.
And the Merlot was in there, and it's rough. I sent you a picture, and you said that looks rough, and it does look rough. However, the crystal is all beat up on it, which is giving the illusion of it looking bad. I am looking at it and think that once I take it out, this dial and handset is actually in really good shape. Um, I do have another case that is better than this one right now that I could just swap it right into. Has the original crown and everything. Has a good crystal in it. I think it's going to be a good one. This will. Here's the thing. Every time I get one of these extras, spares, quote unquote, I always say this is going to be for restoration and for sale. But then I start to get them looking nice, and I really enjoy wearing them and not having to wear and be afraid of wearing something from the original collection of 10. So I say that it's going to be for sale, but there's no time limit as to when that's going to happen or really if. So if you really want it, send me a message, be like, "I really want that." And then maybe you can pry it out of my hands. And furthermore, I am one away from collecting a whole complete second set.
You're nuts, man. That's mildly unhealthy.
I mean, you know.
We're hoarding jet stars. Good lord.
We're not hoarding you look at you have a beautiful example in front of you right there.
You do?
We're giving life. We're givers of life. That watch is good to enjoy for another 50, how old is that? 52, 53
50
years,
years.
you know.
Uh-huh.
So it's not hoarding, Joe. It's
If you
protecting.
if you say so. If
I'm
you say so.
protecting them. In the second box that I got today, was my first customer butterscotch.
Yeah.
So let's just get into this. Today's episode really is a show about nothing. It's just kind of story time with you and I, and it's been a while since we've done an episode like this. It just telling stories about our experiences or watches in general or things that are going on in our watch collecting days. Um, so I'll get into, some more new watches in here in a second. But I got this client butterscotch. I have procured a very, very, very close shade of orange that the markers on these dials are painted in. And I have done two dials, my own personal dials, and they turn out really nice. and I had a follower on Instagram. Actually, I bought watch from him before. Um, he sent me a couple of listings because there was a few of them on eBay recently, and I think two or three of them. He said, "Have you seen these?" Yeah, I bid on it, but I'm not going to go any further. I'm like, this one is really good. I think he lost out on that one. And I said, "There's another one that's ending in like 2 hours." I said, "If jump on that one because that one also looks really good." So he got it really cheap, bought it really well. Sent me some pictures. I said, I can redo that dial for you. And I said, it has the calendar issues from these AS2066 movements are really susceptible to the date discs getting out of whack when you're trying to adjust the calendar in that weird period where you shouldn't be
Yeah.
adjusting the calendar. They
Yeah.
get
Like
bound up
between what, 11 and 2 or something like that.
something like that. Yeah. So everything gets out of whack. And I said, I know exactly what's wrong with it. I said, it's a super easy fix. I'll take care of that for you too. He likes the orange straps that I do on mine. I said, I'll order you a strap. I said, just, pay for the shipping and pay for this and that. I said, I'll take care of you. We'll make it look really nice. So he's really excited. It came today. It's actually a beautiful case. Dial and hands are gorgeous on it. It actually I don't know if it's the original, but it is the correct crystal. Has some scratches and gouges in it, but it is a good candidate to be restored. So we don't have to put aftermarket stuff in there. We'll fix everything, make it look nice, paint them dial markers for him, put a nice strap on it. It's going to be a real nice example for him once he's done. So he's real excited about that.
Cool.
One more new watch. Hold on. Hold on. I gotta get it.
Okay, bye.
I got this thing. Look at there's a strap. Hold on. What? See?
What's the the millimeters on that?
It has a crown and everything. I don't. It's that big. It's yay
It's
big.
that big.
It's literally larger than my head, twice the size of my head. It's that many millimeters.
That's the nicest one of those I've ever seen.
That's heavy. That's made out of metal. So my brother found this thing on Facebook Marketplace. He loves shopping on there for stuff. And he says, "Oh, I thought that would be pretty cool for you." He says, I thought you could put it on a desktop or a shelf or something like that." He says, "When it came, it was a lot larger than it looked in the pictures." He's like, "I thought it would be desk clock size, and it came to be this." So he sent it to me in this gigantic box. Showed up on my doorstep. The box was so large, I could not get into my door. But it's cool. It's really cool, actually. It's the way that the strap comes together. It has a butterfly nut on it, and it holds up. It's a stand, right? But you
Right.
can undo the nut, and it basically unbuckles the strap, and it folds out. And if you were to build some kind of a bracket, you could actually hang it on the wall with the strap on, the buckle on the top and the rest of it hanging below. So it's pretty neat. I like it. It's cool. Got wrist
Yeah.
presence. Got
It's
got
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 wrist
real
presence.
real good presence.
Not quite an Invicta, but close.
But it's Hublot Big Bang sized.
Big bang. A bigger bang. Wow.
Bang, the biggest thing. Yeah. Oh gosh, what do you got on the wrist today?
Today is the blue snorkel because it's a Monday. It's that snorkel 666, the integrated bracelet version. So it's one of four in the series. These are the 1974 watches. Red, green, blue. Then there's a Coke black dial.
That's the mechanical version because there's mechanical versions and there's tuning fork versions.
Yeah, there's
Which one is
Accutron
that?
as well. This is mechanical.
That's
It's
the
both of
mechanical
them.
one. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And the newest one, the you bought the red dial. That's
Yeah.
the Boulevard
Accutron.
version, right?
It's
Okay.
the
Oh no,
Accutron.
see, I can't keep them straight.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. So the Accutrons.
Because on the surface, one could say they're essentially the same, but there are differences between the two.
Yeah, but the like the case size is different. The bezels are different, which is really stunning because I got that new old stock bezel that I initially bought for this watch. It turns out to not fit at all, and I have that on an Accutron version now.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're not one to one. They're close, but they're not exact.
Yeah,
Same
but
year too, which is
they're
interesting.
cool. Oh,
They
really?
are. Yeah,
Huh.
they're all 1974.
It's interesting
And
that they would make something so similar between the two brands at the same time like that.
and then the Accutrons, there's a different bracelet, and it's the same kind of integrated bracelet, but there's one that's more rounded. So there's like a Swiss variant of some sort. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
interesting. It's definitely an interesting little space to be in, and nobody knows what they are. You know, they're not. The line book only shows the black dial versions, so you have these colors,
Yeah.
and there's no advertisement for them. They all seem to have like Spanish day wheels. So you've got that option as well. They're interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're cool. I will say
they
that.
are. They are. They're neat. They're neat. This one, like, if I could find another bezel for it, I'd be really happy. But overall, it's in pretty good shape. So,
And what are you
what do you
drinking?
tea? It's
Is it
it's nine.
spiked tea? Like
No, it's just tea.
this is Joe we're talking to. It's gotta have
It
something in
is
it.
cream.
Disappointed in you.
It's
Irish
not even
cream, at
Irish
least?
cream. It's just
No?
it's just
Oh
no.
man. We
It's
just
nine in the morning.
you know how many listeners just turn this show off because you're not drinking right now. I don't care
Well,
what time it is. It's a day off.
it's still 9 in the morning, man.
Whatever. So I'm wearing what could be considered a grail to many. I actually have on a 1970 surfboard. And this thing, as you know, is really cool.
Looks good. It's good. It's a
It's
great
really
bezel.
cool. This one has the bezel is just faded oh so good. Um, the colors are bright. The hands are a little bit dirty. The case has been through some life. But just as a whole, it's a great package. You and I both have the quartz reissues, 40 millimeters. For a
Mm.
brief time, you had the 38 millimeter reissue, the one that you didn't like so much because it was thick,
Yeah, it was really
which,
tall.
in fairness, it was. Um,
17. It was 17 millimeters tall from the back of the case back up to the top of the crown.
yeah.
And you can
And what
slip
are
your
these? Do
finger
you know?
underneath the lugs. What's that?
What are these ones? I'm sure you've
Oh
measured it.
shoot, I think it's like 11,
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
less. Yeah, because it's not a automatic. It's a hand wound.
Hmm. But you put this next to the reissue, and there's no comparison. I mean, they
No,
look similar, right? Obviously, but there's just something special about this when you put it on the wrist. Right away, you can tell it's more compact. It sits really well. It's the colors are just different. They're brighter. The oranges, you can't beat the 70s orange. You know, that's really hard to replicate in modern watches. Um, it's just that good.
they're really, it's and that one even so I've got the full set. I've got the surfboard, I've got that the chronograph, the blue or gray, and then there's that black one, the Coke. And the surfboard's just better. It's just
Well,
better.
they're so here's the thing. They're this one and the Deep Sea A, the all blue dial, are the same watch, other than the colors, right? The
Yeah,
Deep Sea B is different in the case shape. The dial is a little
right.
different. Um, but they all, for all intents and purposes, are the same watch. However, they all serve a different purpose in looks. You get a very different experience wearing each of those watches. Because right here, no, where's that? Yeah, right there. That's the Deep Sea B. That's the all blue one. It's a complete. You put them next to each other, they're the same, but they're different.
Yeah, the surfboard's
And
better. I just,
it's so much more iconic.
even less the iconic side of it, because like I think the colors of the all blue, like that's just the deep sea chrono. That one
Hmm.
works incredibly well. And when you get the bezel right and it pops and all that stuff. But yeah, the surfboard is so much better. And even the black dial, the B, the deep sea chrono B, like it's, if you can find those that are in really good shape, they have this glossy dial and
Hmm.
they look wet. They're fantastic.
Yeah,
And the surfboard's just better.
I'll,
Just
I'll
better.
give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
They're all good, but I'll give you that. So
Mm.
this is not to be confused. It's not my watch. This is part of the mystery collection, which is part of this collection that's behind me here. The mystery collector is obtaining these, sending them here. I'm kind of curating and the caretaker for them for right now. Um, he has one of the greatest Bulova collections that people don't know exist, and he just wants some of these things to be seen. He understands what they are and that they need to be shown, and people need to be able to see them and enjoy them, through
It's interesting,
the photos and the
because
media that we can offer.
there's a relative level of anonymity that you can get off of Instagram, but doesn't want to engage in that. And so like you're showcasing his watches by proxy, for
Yeah,
lack of a better term. It's like, all right.
and there's some stuff that's coming that's really cool. I don't want to say just yet, just in case he changes his mind or doesn't send something different or whatever. But there's some cool things that are coming this way that I'm excited to be able to experience, but be able to show, the world. I mean, full collections of certain models and stuff that people probably haven't seen all together before. It's pretty neat.
Are you going to be doing any casework on any of those?
So I did get the green light to do some work on this one
Oh, cool.
because we had a discussion. This one came off of eBay, and I had somebody message me because I did a post on it. And they said, "Was that the one that had the laser welding on the case back?" I said, "Yeah, this is the one." "Oh, okay." I was looking at buying it, and what had happened was somebody, because these have those weird, flat edged case backs that
Yeah,
takes
like
the
the
weird tool to undo it.
yeah.
Somebody drilled out three holes to use the Y caseback opener to open it up, and then at some point just laser welded it back together again because it is a perfect pattern. It matches up perfectly. That is what they did to be able to open the case back.
Why would you do that? You can get that case open with a pair of channel locks, and it doesn't damage the case at all. What?
Well, if you have the three-prong caseback opener, you can open it with that because I have done it before.
Yeah, you just
I
get
don't
that wide
know. I
enough
don't.
too.
Yeah, I don't get it.
That's dumb.
So, yeah, it's been laser welded on the back, which is fine because by the time I go through it, you probably won't even notice it. But the case itself, I mean, on some of the edges, it's getting to the point where it's been worn down so much that it's starting to turn polished.
Yeah.
Um, and next to the deep sea, the blue dial deep sea, which is a beautiful untouched case, he says I kind of want them to be, similar to one another in condition. So we'll go ahead and take this one apart and clean it all up. These are very easy. They're all brushed. There's no, polished edges or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about rounding anything out. The brushing will sharpen everything up, in fact. So we'll do this one. What else? There was, oh, the V, which is sitting right here. I think we're going to clean this one up too. Got a bracelet for that one, so that one's looking pretty good. So some of these things, as he buying them, we're going to start, making them look nice in that. Um, Not necessarily for resale, but just so that they look nice in his collection, when everything goes off to him. So yeah, that's what we're doing there.
Are you going to try to touch the hands for the V?
I will not. The V could use a service. I'm sure it will go out to Dave for a service. Dave does some looming. I don't know if he's had a conversation with Dave about this particular watch or not yet. Um, it needs the triangle tip portion of it to be done, really. Um, I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with it. Loom is kind of weird. The guys that do it, they hand mix that stuff, and I feel like you have to be able to get the right consistency and
Well, it's got to flow because it's
yeah.
you're using surface tension to hold it in, and that one in particular, because it's the aperture is so wide,
Hmm.
right? Because that whole weird triangle tip is just full. So it's and making sure that you've got a color match. That's hard. That's hard. Like you
It's
got to.
that's something that I don't want to mess with. I don't know that I ever will. We'll leave that to
I
people
think you
who
could do it. I think you could do it. You just got to supply up. That's the problem.
yeah, that's the other part too. You got to
You
keep all that
know.
on hand. But and I don't do it
Yeah.
enough
I mean,
really to
I
want
don't.
to be able to buy it.
Well, you don't do it enough yet.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
That's how you want to be able to fill those Jetstar hands correctly, right?
Yeah, right.
Do something with it. I
Maybe
don't know.
one
I
day.
don't know.
We'll
I'm
see. Who
I'm I'm
knows?
always I'm always interested in that because I think that that's something that you could probably pull off pretty well, just with your attention to detail when you're doing all of your car detailing. So I mean, if you can spend the time to do a brush case, I think you can probably do a hand reloom.
A hand reloom.
Yeah.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Never say never. Who knows? Down the
Well, I mean,
line.
I think you got plenty to mess with. So
Yeah.
it's just it's the getting the colors is always kind of the kicker.
Yeah.
That's and so the people that do that and that do that really well.
So here's a question for you. If you're going to reloom the hands, like in this case here, would you want it reloomed to look new, or would you want to get the color right to give it that creamy aged look?
I
Because
would want it.
technically that would fall under a Fotina look, which people have heartache about. If it's not done naturally, they don't want it at all.
Okay, but what would you rather have? A vintage watch that suddenly has bright white hands that's not going to match anything? Like I always look at it. So case in point would be this one, right? I don't need to have it reloomed. I don't need to have it redone. The loom itself is aged just a little bit, and some of it's actually flaked off. And so there's this bright white bar that's underneath the loom. But the loom that's there matches the hands, and it also matches the color of the pip at 12. And so for me, that's always kind of the kicker. Like, what does the bezel have any loom? Should they match? Yes or no? And if they should match, then yeah, I want them to match. So that's always what I look at. It's like, does it match the overall rest of the watch? And is it a Fotina? Yeah, okay, it is. But it's not like I'm going to be able to reloom the bezel. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it. And
I
when
mean,
I've
I'm
sent,
with you.
I've had watches done. I had the red dial version of this. I had redone, and it was all to match.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have no problem with it. I like the creamy aged look. Nothing wrong with it.
Mm.
So
Yeah, it's a good look. I'm okay with it.
yeah.
So I don't because right I have I've got the V, and it's got pretty much it has a new old stock dial on it. The hands are the lube that was on those originally. It's different. It's a different kind of look compared to what the reissue is, which is all bright white. But You know, it works.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk new stuff real quick.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I went into an AD, kind of like we have a little bit of everything kind of AD, and they have a citizen corner, no bull of a stuff, but they have the new Suyosas,
Mm.
which I've only seen in pictures, and they are sunburst dials. They've got some cool colorways, but I was always a little hesitant on how it would come across with the sunburst dial. My favorite, personally, is the yellow one. I like bright yellow dials on watches. I think they look really cool. I got to see one in person. I actually really liked it. So much to the point where I was messaging you, should I buy it? Should I not buy it? What should I do? I almost walked out with one.
How close were you?
I was really close. I was really close. And the retail was 450. I was going to walk out the door at 360 on it, which I think is a good price for what it is. You've seen one in person too. It's got some heft to it. It has some weight, which is what I like in a watch. The 8000 series Miyota inlet is very well done. It looks beautiful. It's that gold plated movement has a nice rotor on it, has a nice display case back. The edges are sharp. The design of the case is great. The integrated bracelet goes really well. The bracelet itself is really nice. The dial is done well. It gives it more of a honey yellow look than a bright yellow look. But I love the bright white markers. I like the hands on it. It was a really nicely done watch. Dare I say a PRX killer?
So let's talk about that because like I've seen both and I've handled both. The PRX, the dial on the PRX is different. And the people I know who have both of those, they prefer the PRX to the Citizen. I've seen that yellow one too. And
Mhm.
for me, the dial just doesn't work. That sunburst dial doesn't work. But I think that I was spoiled on that a little bit because I got to see the Rolex, the OP, the 36 with the
Yeah,
yellow dial, that Stella
yeah.
dial,
Hmm.
which is a flat. It's not brushed, so it's a flat yellow,
Going to give you
and
a
that's
whole different look.
it does, and it's like I that sunburst yellow doesn't work for me. It just and I would be interested to see it in like that robin's egg blue, that Tiffany blue, and maybe even the green. I'd
So
be interested in those.
the green is really nice in a sunburst,
Mhm.
actually. It comes across
Yeah,
different than the yellow does. They didn't have the blue ones. They had the dark blue, they had the black, they didn't have the orange, and they had the yellow. I like that yellow OP, right? Which is why when photographed in certain ways, these dials look very similar to that. You can get that bright
yeah,
color to come out of it.
yeah. You can,
But
but
if you've ever dealt with a sunburst dial, you know that in person it's always going to look differently. So I was kind of worried about it, but it's better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to
yeah.
be worse, and it's actually not that bad. But the green looked really cool. I did like that one too.
Hmm. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm curious. I'm I'd like to see one of the blue. Like I would consider that. And
The light
then
blue,
like I might.
yeah.
Like I do like that watch. I like the whole aesthetic of it. But I don't know because there's a couple
But
Bolivas that are
so case wise,
similar.
between that and the PRX, what do you like case wise?
I think I like the Citizen case better
Yeah,
than the PRX. The PRX is a little more blocky,
hmm
and the Citizen it seems a little bit more elegant to me. The way that it tapers down better at the lug.
hmm
And even though it's still an integrated lug, you know.
It's I liked it. I liked it a lot. Like I say, I almost walked out. I didn't because the problem that I had was would I wear it enough? Because
Well, what's enough?
our collections is 99% vintage. So I don't have a whole lot of modern stuff and I have a hard enough time wearing everything that I do have anyways. But would I wear it enough to justify buying it? And I again, I think that the price was warranted. Can you find them cheaper? Yes, you can find them cheaper. You're paying tax still on top of, more or less the same prices on eBay. They're coming from Hong Kong. I don't like buying stuff from Hong Kong directly. Um, I was okay with the price. Every once in a while, it's okay to have that AD experience. And I don't mind supporting buying from a citizen AD because it's supporting, the company that we have dealing with anyways. Um, it's just I didn't know if I would wear it enough. That's the problem. And I didn't want to struggle
Well,
with it.
so like that kind of watch for me, I can wear with no problem. I can it's almost it's like a daily driver. It's a good watch. It's not quite a go anywhere, do anything watch, but you could wear it in just about any situation. It would look good. You can dress it up, you can dress it down, right? You throw I don't know if they're doing straps for it, but it would probably look great with a brown strap too. So, there's options.
Yeah.
There's options that abound. Um, you do different things. Like you're much more hands on, and so that wouldn't be a watch that you would wear to work. Whereas it's one I could wear to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody's different, and it doesn't. It's one of those interesting things. I've been having conversations with people, and you talk about collections and the facts like, okay, I am a Bulova collector. I have what I think five non-Bulova watches, something like that.
Hmm.
Six, six non-Bulova watches. I've got two Casios, two Seikos, and then two Millers. And that's it. So, the conversation was one where I can talk about the facts like, okay, I can appreciate just about anything else. I can appreciate all of these other watches. I can appreciate Rolex. We can have conversations about all of that sort of stuff. And I can look at it from afar and it's like, you know what? That's objectively, that's nice. It's a good package. The finishing, blah, 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 blah. And I don't need to have it. It doesn't go into my collection. It's not going to be a watch that I'm going to own. And so that to me, that's a relatively level of freeing when it comes to some of these discussions. When you're looking at, okay, how do you curate your collection and what are you doing with it? So looking at a watch like that Citizen, it's a good watch. It's
Hmm.
objectively a good watch. What
It's
would you do
one
with
that,
it? How does it fit? Yeah, that's a whole different question.
but
And whether or not it works for your aesthetic, that's also another
and that's
question.
just exactly it. What would I do with it? How often would I wear it? Where would I wear it to? It's definitely one I would recommend to somebody, though. If you were on the fence about it, if you were thinking about one, like we always say, go see it in person because it hits differently in person. But I would recommend it for sure. I think it's a great watch. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, I think you're nailing it on the head, right? Because I was really interested in one of those, and I would have probably almost purchased that, even the yellow, sight unseen, and then been disappointed when I got it because that
Yeah.
dial just doesn't work for me. I wish it did. It just
If you're expecting a bright yellow colorway, you're not going to get it because of the
yeah
sunburst. You'll get
yeah.
a slightly muted tone from that. And if that's
Yeah.
okay with you, then there you go. So here's why I almost bought it. Here's reason number two. Remember the MB&F lookalike watch that I was going to order?
Yeah.
You and KC were calling it the fidget spinner around the wrist.
Yeah.
So release day came and went. and we didn't really hear anything. Like the order, so it was a crowdfunded program. You sign up for it, notify me when it's, live and all that. Didn't get any notifications. It took most of the day for Radcliffe Watches to make any sort of a post, either through email or on the Instagram page or the launch page or anything, as to what was going on. Then it was, oh, update coming soon, working out some last minute things. We'll let you know what's going on. And that was it. That was it. No explanation as to what they were trying to do, no timeline, no anything. And I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. And and I feel like this might have been a sign, because we got no specs on this watch whatsoever. And I'd asked multiple times, like, what size is it going to be? Because this is a watch that you almost want to be a little bit on the larger side. Finally, I was told that it's a 40 millimeter watch, where the actual MB&F Mad 1 is 42. So it's kind of narrow and really tall. And I was struggling with the proportions of that. Like, would it look too top heavy? Is it too small of a diameter, really, for what that watch is? And then this whole thing came about, and now, we're a week or two past the release date and still haven't heard anything about it. So it's just like, maybe that's my sign not to go down this. As much as I hate to say that, because I really like the way it looks and I like the watch, and I really wanted to have one, because you know me and I love those wandering hours. Maybe this is just not the one for me right now. So I still have, the money set aside. And then I saw this watch and I'm like, well, this is a cheaper option and I'll still have some left over to play around with. But no, I didn't, because there is a third option. And I don't want to say exactly what it is.
Oh,
You know
come
what it
on.
is. You know what it is. I don't want to say,
Do I?
because if yeah, we were talking about it this morning even. Remember I made the offer?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This would be something that I would love to have. I like all the offerings that come from this brand. Even the modern stuff is really, really nice. And it's a brand that you even want something from. So that says a lot.
Okay.
It's a 40s era military pilot's watch. It has lived a life. It's a spec watch, black dial, Arabic numerals, plated case, which I think is weird that one of the specs for this particular style watch was having a chrome plated case, because they don't hold up very well. And when they do start to chip and pit and the sweat gets in it, it loosens it up and they flake apart. And this one has a little bit of that, but it's enough to have a story behind it. It doesn't look too terrible. It's aged well, and it's just really cool. Um, the asking price was a little bit above what I've got to play with right now. This particular seller does sell stuff at reasonable prices. So I made him an offer. I said, I hate to lowball you. I said, this is just what I have to work with right now. I understand that it's probably worth more than that, but this is what I've got. He's like, no, I appreciate that. He says, let me think about it. I'll let you know. He's a real cool guy. So we're kind of just waiting to see. He's probably waiting to see if he's going to get any other offers in on it or whatever. If it sits for a couple of weeks or a month maybe and he doesn't get anything, then he might message me back and we'll go from there. But it's something I think is really cool, something I'd really like to have. So that's kind of where we're at.
See, but this is where me collecting what I collect and the way that I collect. It's like, yeah, I can objectively say that's a pretty nice watch. It's not bad. It's not bad. I don't need it. Good for you.
Well, right. I'm a bull of a collector too. 90% of my collection is Bulova vintage watches. I have, a dozen of the modern versions of Bulovas. but I do have a case of non-Bulova stuff that I like to keep rotated or bring in or whatever because I do like other things outside of Bulova, and this just happens to be one of them. You could arguably say that this is one of the more prominent luxury watch houses that are out there. I mean, this is in the realms of the Rolexes and the Cartiers, and I mean that's where this watch belongs, albeit much older, but it carries that history and that provenance. Would you agree?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's a good piece, and you would enjoy it, and it would be great. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
So we'll see if it ends up going through. I'll make it'll be a surprise post. It'll shock a lot of people that I actually own one. But I don't
That'd
want
be
to say
good
I don't
though.
want to
That'd be
get
good. I
my
think
hopes up, and I don't want to get everybody else's hopes up and thinking that it's actually coming. So
that'd be
we'll
good for you.
see.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it
So
would be
I
fun.
am currently I'm in the middle of it's a 29 days, 29 watches challenge that's up on Instagram through some people that I follow. And I've been thinking about that. And so I decided that I was going to go deep and go hard on that. And so I am doing 29 Bulova 666 dialed watches. So I even
Now, to be
narrowed
clear,
that down.
it's not a one watch for 29 days. You are actually doing a different watch each day for 29
Right,
days.
right, right. That's
You
the
are the perfect person for this because you
well.
have
That was kind of
all the variants.
it's a really weird discussion though, because in order to work through this challenge, you got to have that many watches. And it's like, okay, yeah, I do. And then you've got to, they've got to be kind of it's a weird limited challenge. And I'm really surprised because there are more people that are involved in this one. I think they've got over like 200 takers at this point in time. It's like that's pretty big that there are 200 people that are willing to kind of commit to do this sort of thing and are able to pull it off. There's a couple of guys that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to do multiple watches a day. I'm like, okay, I could probably do that too. I'm just not going to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of neat that I can go around and showcase what I've got and the ways that the stuff that I have. And that's just looking through the Bulova case. And I was thinking about is like I could probably do it with Caravel as well. Can't do it with Accutron, and I could do it with non dive watches or non 666 watches too. So I was like, all right, it's an interesting little bit of a challenge though. But there's a guy that's doing it who has Nautica watches. So fashion brand Nautica. All right.
He's got 29 different Nauticas.
Yes.
Hmm.
And he's got a bunch of them. And so we were talking, and it turns out that he's done a deep dive on it and done some research and done some of the history stuff on it. And there's some really, really cool watches, but it goes deeper than just being like a fashion watch. So the Timex, the galley with the extra jewel on the dial, and it's that sort of the open work case.
Yeah.
That's the same guy that did a lot of this Nautica design. It's really interesting. And so he went to work from, and he does a deep dive into this designer. And to be absolutely honest, the guy's working at a lower level than say like Genta or even Hayek or some of the other really high-end watch designers. But when you start taking a look at what he has done and where he's done it at, I think that galley designs are going to be worth something later. He's still alive, and he's still designing, and he's doing a lot of work with Timex. Timex hired his company and then hired him, and he's been part of their design team. And it's one of the reasons like
I was gonna say he's done a couple for Timex so far, and I think they've sold out every time something gets released because they really are a good design.
Well, but he's been part of the design team. So when Todd Schneider does stuff, he's responsible with that. And you look at the the way that Timex has really been killing it recently. You know, they're the stuff that they've been coming out with. We've talked about it before. The Waterbury lines, they've got some really, really good collaborations, some really good design language, some really decent pieces are coming through. And he's been responsible for most of that, it seems. So, you know, kudos to that. And it was something I wasn't really aware. And so it's a little bit of new history that I've been picking up. And I think it's pretty cool. So if you get the chance, you can look up Galley in terms of design, and there's some there. You know, there's a couple of articles about his time at Nautica and what the design language that he did there, and then how that, you know, coming from Swatch then to doing his own, you know, independent designs, and then going in working with Timex. It's some pretty cool stuff, man. So
That's cool.
yeah, I was really impressed. And that Timex, that Galley, the Galley 1 and the Galley 2, it's like those are good. Those are good.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah,
I like those.
I
That little
like
jewel on the dial is a nice touch.
Mm-hmm. What else you got? Any other stories to tell?
We did a well, so when you were out last summer, right? We went to a OC Chrono meetup that they were selling raffle tickets for a Omega Seamaster 300, that seaweed dial. It's the green.
Yeah.
And so they did a couple weeks ago. And that was, so it was what, like, you know, what, 6-7 months since they started. And so it just took a little bit for them to build up the ticket sales, I guess. But they ended up giving away a Basel watch, a bunch of extra stuff. So it was a neat night. And a friend of mine actually won it. So that was kind of cool.
Oh, really?
And he walked away. But this is the guy he has the strap collection. Right. So the depth his watch collection is fantastic. It's absolutely stunning. And he's got some piece uniques. He's commissioned some works. He's got, you know, he's got some Daniel Roths, some really good stuff.
He's the one that's got a couple of Speak Mirrors, right?
Yeah.
Because those were beautiful. I really like those.
He's got some really, really great stuff, but it's the straps that make the whole thing work. And he goes
literally portfolios of straps.
This whole, oh man, it's like 300 or 400, and they're not. I mean, he has them custom made. He's got 2 different people that he works with, tweeds and exotic leathers, and they color match. There's some really, really cool stuff.
But how cool would that be, though, to just be like, open them up and you have unlimited pairing options to whatever you want to put it on.
Oh yeah, he does. It's really fun. Like he brought his strap collection once. You just sort of flipping through it. It's a folio, you know. He's like 3 or 4 different binders just full of straps. You're flipping, like, oh my god, they're wonderful. But we're talking. He's like, okay, great. So, and anytime he gets a new watch, I immediately ask, okay, what strap are you putting it on? Because he goes big that way. But so he gets this Omega and he's got it on. I'm like, all right. So is it going to be what, like a green ray? He's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Green stingray, or maybe shark.
Yeah, that would be good.
It's going to be something.
So I just thought of this, and I didn't look close enough when I was there looking at his straps. So you've probably seen them more up close than I have. Are they all quick release?
No, not all.
Okay. Because that would be fantastic. Just be able to pull one out and flip it on there real quick. Any other stories to bore our listening and viewing?
To bore our, this will be a really good episode for you to relax into and help you go to sleep with the.
This is we should call these the dulcet tones of our voices. The soothing sounds. This is one of those great background noise episodes.
Right. Put this on while you're doing something else.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're good for, I think, in most cases.
It helps put the
Oh,
baby to
goodness.
sleep.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. There's not a whole lot else that's really going on. It's that there's releases that are coming out. There's new watches that are happening, but the spring lines have already been kind of hinted at, and
Mhm.
we're not quite into auction season. Some of the big watch fairs are coming up, but we're in it's February, man. There's not a whole lot
Oh,
that happens in February.
you know what? Did we ever talk about the lunar pilot meteorite dial yet on the show here?
They brought it up. We haven't talked about it. You want to
We
talk about
haven't
it? Let's
talked
talk
about it.
about it.
So
Let's
let's
talk
this
about it.
because I think you and I have, as to be expected, different views on this. So what do you think of it? So this, well, let's run down real quick. This
Okay.
is the just released, well, just within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Um, it's the 43 millimeter lunar pilot titanium case meteorite dial. It's on a nice
Black subdials.
black subdials, a nice leather, the two-piece NATO that they use. It has a different case back, that one that talks about the actual meteorite and not so much, the lunar landing. Um,
Right. Apollo 15.
yeah. And what else? It's retails for 14.95, I believe, is the retail price on it. Um, they sold
Limited,
out. Yeah, it's what was it? 5,000 pieces limited,
something like that, I think.
which
Yeah.
sold out the first batch within a couple of days. And I don't know if they've been restocked yet. They did say in February.
They
They didn't
did.
say
No, they
when
did a
in February.
restock. They did a
Did they
restock, and
already?
those are
Okay.
gone too.
Are they already? So,
Yeah. And so there's like
what are
it's
your
a
thoughts?
5,000 piece limited release, but I think there's only 2,000 pieces for the U.S. Something like that.
So, as I was told, it was around 2,000 for the US and then 3,000 worldwide, on all the other markets, because it's a true worldwide release. So it's not limited
Yeah.
markets.
Yeah.
So what do you think of it?
I don't like meteorite dials. I
No?
get it. I get it. I appreciate it for what it is. Um, for me, it's the randomness of the meteorite pattern. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It's like that. It's like that yellow dial citizen. It just doesn't work for me. I understand that it can work for other people. I understand that there's other people's that have an aesthetic that'll go with it, and all power to them. It's just not for me. It's not designed with me in mind, and I'm okay with that. I know that there's this idea that the meteorite is this rare and special superlative thing, and blah 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 blah. And I think it's really cool that Bulova did it. And I would love to have a conversation about how you source meteorite, because it's not like you can just go get one. Maybe
Right.
you can. I don't
Maybe
know.
you can. I don't know.
Maybe you can.
Meteorite is
So,
rus.com.
well, I mean, how big was this sucker that you can then cut it up and have enough for 5,000 dials? So, I got questions. I got questions about how that's supposed to work. It's just not for me. And I know this. I know it's not for me, and I'm okay with it not being for me. What do you think? I know you love it.
Well, I don't love it. I appreciate it. I like it. I am generally not a meteorite dial person. However, I think the way that it's broken up with the subdials does work very well. It's not too much meteorite for the same reasons that you're not a big fan of it. Um, I don't like titanium watches because I like a watch to have some weight behind it. But I do like that it's the bead blasted case, because people were asking, well, when are you going to do a bead blasted case in the 43 millimeter size? Now, granted, you guys got that, but you're going to have to pay the premium for it because it's a limited edition meteorite dial. I think the overall look of it is fantastic. I like the way they did the new chapter ring on it is different than what the usual models are. I think it's a really cool package. I think it's a really cool package. I've got no problem with the price. I think it's warranted for what it is. A lot of people do have issue with it. Those people, and where was I? Was it on a forum? Was it on a post or something that people were like, "Oh, well, it's too much money and it's too many pieces and blah blah." I'm like, "Well, look at the facts. This is how it's broken up worldwide, and it's already sold out. And now apparently it's been sold out twice. So there are people out there who agree that it's justified in what they're asking for it. I think it's a good offering. I think it's a smart move for the Lunar Pilot franchise on their part. Um, and I think it's just another in the step of the cool stuff they're going to do with these lunar pilots. Like, yeah, when we had Michael on talking about it, he wants to not parallel what Omega has done with the Speedmaster, but the door is open for them to be able to do these kinds of fun things, different variations, and so on and so forth. The mechanical version has been talked about. It sounds like that is more feasible to happening than not. But
It'd
it's
be
just it's
interesting.
just another one in what can be a long line of a really cool watch legacy for them.
I'll be curious to see where they go with that. But I really think, like for me, what would be more interesting is if they did the sub dials out of meteorite. And so they popped out all of those because they have the meteorite dial and
Well,
they popped out for the sub dial. So if they kept those pieces, let's
I don't
recycle
think
that and turn those into sub dials. I think that'd be fun.
I don't think there's actual little subdial slugs laying around somewhere. They probably just drilled it.
You know what?
I bet you.
In my head, that's how it works, and I think that would be really funny. So it'd be the reverse meteorite dial instead of a reverse panda.
So what I did was I did kind of a mashup. I took the Panda case and it had the blue pushers and the
Right?
blue chapter ring on it, and I just kind of photoshopped the meteorite dial to it, and people kind of went crazy about that. People really
It's
liked
not
it.
a bad
Like,
look.
oh, when's that one coming out? Oh, where can I find that one? It's like, no, it's not real. Like, I'm just playing with it. I'm just having fun, like a what if, but it
Yeah.
was pretty neat.
What if? What if?
Yeah.
A build your own adventure, Bulova.
Never know.
Eh.
Well,
Yeah,
Joe,
it's it's going to be interesting where they decide to go with that particular line. If that's how long that's going to stick around, what they're going to do with it, because I think that there's a ton of options. They've got colors that are I'm sure going to drop and change, and things you can take a look at. I'm When you start talking about Omega and you start talking about Speedmaster, there's a ton of stuff that they've done. They've got all these different iterations. You can get it in this kind of gold and in that kind of gold and in another kind of gold. And it can be in this size and in that size. And it can have this movement and that movement. And it's all
can
essentially
you
the same watch.
so they made uh what was it? It was a handful of solid gold Accutron Space View 2020s. Remember when they first came out, they had the gold option, the solid gold option. It was like $19,000 or something like that. Can you imagine a solid gold lunar pilot? That would be kind of cool. Like a
I'm
10
trying.
piece limited solid gold lunar pilot. That would be cool. That would be pretty neat.
It would be weird though, because that if they did that, then they would release the sort of the IP coded gold as well. And so like, how would you tell the difference? It'd be
You know
interesting.
what? Well, I'd be willing to bet that you'd have two different shades. You would know. You would have all the hallmarks and things like that. An IP gold version of it might be kind of cool. I might wear a gold lunar pilot on a bracelet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that.
Gold dial too.
I don't know. I'd have to see kind of the renderings to see what it would look like. I'm not opposed to it right now.
That would be interesting because if you did a gold dial, or if you did like black subdials, or if you did meteorite subdials, ooh,
Meteorite subdial. But look at how good that gold oceanographer GMT came out. If they did that in the lunar pilot, that would be good. I'd wear one of those. Yeah.
You go right ahead. Not my cup of tea.
Well, on that note,
yeah. How do we get in touch?
Why is it that every week now I have to remind you?
It's Monday, man. It's Monday. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's gonna be Monday all day.
All day and half the night.
Yeah.
If our listeners aren't bored out of their minds and they do want to get a hold of us for some way, Joe, they can contact us at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us also, the springbarpodcast@gmail.com. On a intimate and personal level, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one long word. 120 clicks. Joe.
I am Watch Taylor Youth. All one word. EUPH.
It sounds so weird. I feel like I just got so much more closer to you than I really wanted to be. And you know, I know there are people who don't listen to the entire episode. They just kind of skip through parts. And if they did not stick around for this, they totally missed out. Oh my gosh. There you go. Well, until next time, when hopefully we bring you a more entertaining episode than what this is. Cheers.